Hello everyone, in this video I'm going to show you how I created the organic sci-fi suit that I did in the YouTube short entitled Father, which I posted in YouTube some days ago. And this is a make human character, which I removed the lower part, and then this just left me with the bust model. So first off, I'm going to extract a part of the model and then use it for the organic suit, and then we're going to model something off from the face and then continue layering the effects after that. So V to split, and then L to select all the faces here, and then separate by selection. So I'm going to add a single subdivision modifier, and then in the settings I'm going to copy all modifiers. So by default, random flow only copies the mirror modifier from the source mesh or the work mesh. With this on, it will copy all the modifiers from the source mesh, including the subdivision modifier. Okay, so here as well, I'm only level 1 subdivision for the head, and then selecting everything. Let's go to viewport shading and turn on random. So every new mesh you make has a different randomized color, so we can see the separation lines. Okay, random panels and something like square 100% angle. And then I'm going to turn on even offset. And the depth is the height of the extrusion, and the thickness is the scaling of the top faces. So we're going to get rid of the middle faces first. So to clip them, or the middle line, and just I'm holding shift then dragging to the right until I get the right amount. So we already have a result right here that kind of good, depending on the resolution that you're aiming for. Okay, so let's increase the subdivision and also increase the maximum depth. So we have like something like 0.02 for the maximum, and minimum is 0.005. If you wish to use a uniform value, you just toggle on the uniform depth or use the same value for the min max parameters. Okay, so going back to the distance, let's clip the middle part, and okay, let's play around with the panel seed to get the shape that we like. Okay, we're still gonna go into layer some effects after this, or probably this is the lower layer, so we're probably going to use a higher subdivision, or not. I'll probably just stick to 1, and then probably fix the thickness of 0.004. There we go. Actually, I'm going to toggle this off to use randomized thickness. And thickness seed is right here. The depth seed, however, is right at the bottom, because the depth seed is more used than the thickness seed. Okay. So that's my reason for doing it that way. And just to clean up the viewport as well. Okay, and you can of course randomize the effects. Then after that, you can also play around with the panel amount. This will remove the panels or not extrude them And to remove the face that is associated in that area, you have to toggle this on. Remove panels. Remove panels instead of flattening them. There you go. So this is another way of controlling the distribution or the amount of details that you have. And panel size, the smaller value you have, the smaller the islands get, therefore more details. So three things to play around: panel mount, panel size, subdivision, and the seed values. So the main seed value here is the panel seed. And remember that this works on geometry. So give the mesh or source mesh ample amounts of resolution, not too much, and not uh, too low. Okay. Okay, let's remove on. Just okay, there we go. So this is I want to actually this is pretty soft right now. So I want this to actually just to like crease this and make it uh, harder, but in a controlled manner. So we can do that in the extras and mesh, crease sharp. Smooth sharp is for actively smoothing the vertices, affecting the vertices position, and crease sharp is creasing the mesh or the edges that have sharp transitions. Okay, and then F9 to bring about the redo panel, and then you can control the factor right here. So let's do something like 0.4. So this is 0, and you can increase this slowly, make it harder, not too much. And we also, this one here is, let's just delete it. Okay. And then the next one is, of course, another layer. Let's do another layer, but let's pick the same work mesh underneath. Let's do another layer, but with an increased subdivision. Random panels, um, subdivision. Okay, subdivision right here. And then something like 20 and make it stand. There we go. Make it higher than the last layer. And then we're going to decrease the panel amount. So parts of the lower layer will show and parts of the new layer will also be prominent. Okay, increase the subdivision and let's see something like 30. So this toggle here is if you want to get rid of the okay, if you want to get rid of the uh, smaller islands, then this is you leave this off. When if you want to get rid of the bigger islands first, you toggle this on. So as you can see here, the bigger islands gets removed first, and then the smaller islands are left last. Okay, let's do it like this first. You can also you can animate this, of course, but seeing that these details are too close to the suit anyways or to the skin, you can just bake this detail instead of just animating it with your character. So it will go faster and will avoid overlapping issues, of course. Okay, it's, there you go. Let's just look for usable pattern. Okay, 0.05 and 0.01, 0.005, okay, 0.01 and 0.02. There we go. And later on with the subdivision and the other parameters that I talked about. Okay, I guess we can use this. And also reuse the if you want, reuse the resharp. Okay, now we can add more layers, and we're going to use the tube. Just to This is designed to be like random pipes, but you can use it. You can also use it for wires to emulate or simulate wirings. Okay, let's start with high offset. The offset right here, and let's get it really close to the skin so that it's just barely uh, there we go, barely just showing out. And then the margin, okay, we have the bevel of the corners, and we have the universal seed right here. Okay, so if you like most of the patterns, you can still uh, confirm it, and then just remove the parts of the result that you want later. So length is 5. This means that these are the edges are used for the length of the tube. So meaning this means that minimum length is 5 edges and maximum length is 20 edges to be converted as curve and then part of the pipe segment. And then alignment means that the tube will try to go straight for 10 edges, and then after 10 edges of going straight, then it will create a turn, unless it encounters terminal edges or non-manifold edges and other stuff like uh, poles, like five-sided poles, something like that. And then the um, the angle threshold is negated, and it will just turn anyway. Okay, increase the resolution, subdivision. There we go. The amount is, let's do something like 50. So for the ones that we don't like, we can just erase it later in edit mode of the curve. So, so I'm just looking for the pattern that I like to use. Okay, let's try this one. And then go in the curve and just use the L hat key. Select the part or curve points that you don't want, and then XV, and then right here L. Oops. I'm going to create another layer in this area right here. Oops. I need to fix the pre-select add-on as well in the coming days because it's not working when the mesh has modifiers. So yeah, expect some changes for that add-on as well. And then so this is the workflow. You don't have you cannot follow this exactly or get the results that I'm getting because of the random nature of but the workflow will be the same, and the workflow is what you will need to follow. If you're not getting the same patterns, then don't fret because it's all random. Okay, let's try and trace this as well. Hmm. Rendered, and let's hide the head and take all of this. Actually, turn this into a mesh first, so you can use the materials, and then import the or append the materials from random flow. Using random flow, the starter materials, and then I'm going to use our flow of metal, which doesn't have any textures associated with it, and this is what we get. So we need some base color for this, and going to use random vertex color, just no saturation, and then island to create random vertex color for separated island in the meshes, and then you can just go ahead and randomize using the value right here. And we need to fix the shader after this, or edit the shader to display this vertex color. So go here, pick one of the objects you've assigned the material to, and with this input, and then in attributes, go select vertex color. That is the vertex color group that is created by the add-on using the random vertex color operator. So if you want to see this menu, you need to have Node Wrangler turned on. It comes free with Blender, or you can download it for free in the extensions. Before extensions, it comes pre-bundled with Blender, so it's free. You go to control the intensity. We need to plug another color mix factor node here, and then set this to overlay and set this to 1. So set the factor to 1, and then you can use the color bar here to basically control the intensity of the colors. Okay, so actually looks good. Need to fix the dirt as well. Let's try and reduce the saturation, and then copy this to here. Set this to 2, and set the threshold to something like 0.46. And edge mask is 0.01, strength is 1, and show the preview the entire uh, material again. Okay, so we just need dramatic lighting to actually make the material less boring. So material plus lighting is what it's all about. If the lighting's bad, then the material looks bad. Okay, ooh. Unfortunately, with Gaffer, we cannot undo the random. This is supposed to randomize this, right? And but we cannot undo that. So sometimes I just push too much. Okay, so that is our set, and it's up to you to add more texture to this. And if this was a whole body, you do the same workflow for the entire body, and don't do too much height on the depth, so you can just bake the detail directly using the base topology, base mesh. You can just duplicate it and then create a bake 2 object from that. Okay, so let's create a weird mask. Okay, where is it? There we go. V, L, and P to separate, and then let's try and add the same material from here and get rid of the eyebrow. You can see it's black because it doesn't have any vertex color. So quick vertex color, just randomize something. If you want to set this manually, you can use creative flow. In vertex color, you can set it like this. Okay, now we're going to just reapply the same method. And actually, we can use random loop extrude for that. And 3 loops square 80. Oh, what is that? That is the geometric spiking, which is coming from this part here. Let's see. Okay, moved one vertex. So this random loop extrude can is kind of confusing at the start, but it's like random panels, but on steroids, and you can repeat the same operation like 5 times in a single operator. That's why you can see the numbers here, and we have the solvers here and the path, which only works for solver number one, which is walk, and then you can see here that these columns here is the values correspond to the columns. So, for example, loop number one and its inset depth is right here. Loop number two, inset depth right here. So it's like Excel. You have rows and columns. Okay. Which the global settings is settings that affects all the loop objects. Okay. So subdivision here. So this is universal subdivision, but you also have loops subdivision. You can also subdivide the details per loop object. But most of the time, I'll just use the universal looping right here. And I'm going to go to inset depth and set the minimum to something like 0.01, 0.015, oops, 0.015. So I'm using a value that is slightly higher than the last loop object. So 0.02. Okay, let's see. Is it 0.02? There we go. And then also get rid of the center line. Auxiliary distance, and just slowly increase the value until we see the clip, the center line clip. There we go. Oops, there's another one right here. So if you want to, the disappearing menu, there's explanation for that. You can go here about that disappearing menu. You can go here, okay, or the online documentation or the YouTube videos. But you can set it to an OK type menu, which will duct here. You won't see any initial changes when managing or editing the parameters right here unless you press the OK button. But once you press the OK button, you can see the, let me see, when we grab this, you can see the radio panel move appear here, and then you can click it. So it's like that. And then when you modify the values from here, then the changes will be live. So you can choose between the disappearing menu and the duct menu. The only difference is that the initial changes will not be live, and it will only be live after you press the OK button. Let's try this first. Select all this and then run vertex color, randomize. So this is like the inner mechanism. We need to create a padding to this, which will of course lessen the busyness of the detail in this area. Okay, so random panels and increase the height of the depth. Oops. Okay, then increase the cuts. Okay, let's just use the base value. And also, I think, there we go. And then, since we have used let's use the last settings that we did for the random tubes, and just click here, play around with the seed value, probably increase the subdivision. Okay, and apply. Then put in some vertex color. You need to apply it and turn it into a mesh. It's because you cannot put a vertex color on a curve object unless you use geonodes. Okay, let's fix there we go, the roughness. So this is really great for actually creating sci-fi suit. Like I said, you can just uh, bake this to the character. Just don't do any extravagant depth or really high depth values, because then since you have affected the profile of the uh, work mesh too much, when in baking you need to actually retopologize the really high geometry that you did. So for something like this, which like it's wrapped on the suit, you can just bake it. Okay, one more, then gonna end the video. So I'm just gonna duplicate this area, I think, split it, and select everything. And oh no 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 no! Actually, duplicate and then um, invert and then delete the other object. And then here we're going to delete the inside of the mouth. And this as well, we're going to get rid of the nose and the mouth to create the mask. Wait a minute, what is that? XF, there we go. And here is our mask, Alt S to kind of offset it. And Control Shift Tab, a face, and then so this is snapping, face project. Okay. Then Shift Tab to activate the snapping. Move. Then we're just going to use the Control click to basically extrude. Actually, we're not going to use snapping on this area or from this area forward. And let's see if we can grid this or use grid fill. No. Let's add an edge. There we go. And simple blend. There you go. And then after this, we're going to use sculpt or go to sculpt and use inflate. Whoops. This is smooth. I think I need to go back to sculpting as well, just to show you the uh, random flow could actually work really well with organic surfaces. Okay, and oh my god, you know what's causing the distortion and the topology? Okay, let's just fix it a bit. Uh, let's add another line here and then merge it to the last, and then so oops, select two edge. So what I'm going to do is apply the mesh to use the oh son. Oh, okay, object mode. Disable the subdivision, and then so I can use the grid fill. There we go, and then reestablish the mirror. And I'm going back to sculpting again, and using the inflate brush and soften. So you can see that those pesky poles are gone. Okay, now we can use this object mode, and actually I need to make it straight like that. M middle. So M merge. Let's separate this P and rejoin this to this face, and get rid of the wait, oh my god, no, wrong. Okay, we can just delete that, and then there we go. Now we have a mask, and we need to get rid of this. So XC to collapse. Actually, okay, XC, and then there we go. All those years of manually retopologizing has culminated into this. Then we can smooth the vertices. Then we can go back to scope and use inflate brush, and we go back to smooth. Oops, 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 oops. Okay, there we go. Okay, I think we have our mesh. Let's see if it actually it amounts to something. Uh, Random panels. So it might turn out really bad because of the topology. So if it becomes high enough, the topology becomes high enough, then the greebles actually look real bad. So if you can use it for something real basic to like mid-level resolution, then it's actually better for that. Go to okay, something like this, and then we're going to crease this. Mesh and crease sharp. There we go. Oh my god. We're going to use the we're going to get rid of the material and then use this instead. So manually just wait a minute. On what's the parent here? We need to also use the same material, which is random rflow math, rflow metal. Okay, so randomize the vertex color. There we go. So it's all about the resolution of the work mesh and the parameters that you're working with. So there are of course in the review section you might see the non-intuitive comments or reviews, and I can understand that because of there's a lot of settings here, and I thought about removing some of them. However, it will only lessen the power or functionality if I remove some of them. So um, if I simplify these operators, it wouldn't be they wouldn't be that powerful anymore. So there's a bit of a sacrifice with the UI, and you're not really gonna use all of this in the operation. As you can see, I'm just as you saw in the video, I'm just modifying the panel mouse, the panel size, the subdivisions, and then playing around with the panel seed. So something like the bevel for for the for this operator, for example, random panels. So you'll only use that like something like 10% of the time. But um, it is better that this is exposed and you have the option to use it compared to it not being uh, exposed. But tell me what you think. Um, of course, you can participate in the discussion if you join the Discord community. So I'm really open to feedback, and I'm really open to change the add-ons for the better. If you just tell me, okay? Don't just uh, don't just fume about it and then let your frustration stack up, okay? Without contacting me first. You have to contact me. You have to talk to me. You have to talk to me about the changes that you want, so I can do something about it. If I don't know about it, then I can't really change it. Okay, enough about that. Um, so yeah, that is the workflow to create this kind of suit. So actually, if I hide this and select everything and unhide the object that I hid later and then do not select it. So it's still using the shader, and you You can actually go to viewport render and experiment with the vertex color from this point. There you go. You can even use yellow to red, but okay, we need to play with the saturation as well. In the U, so something like that. So what I like to do is just start off with no saturation and then just draw or draw topology and then assign vertex color to it. So this is if you need to just bake this, you don't need to retopologize this. What you need to do is to create to retopologize, but to create the bake to mesh. Since this is our all codes anyway, but we can actually just draw on this. So and assign a vertex color, something like this. Whoops, not enough points. You need two. There we go. Then I'm going to assign a vertex color to this. So you have concept art, like in 2D you have concept art. They draw on Photoshop or GIMP or something like that. But you can also draw by way of 3D using these techniques. So there we on the topology. Mm, let's just fix that later. And then something like this. Whoops, didn't draw. There we go. And then find the same vertex color. So it's not because we have subdivision. You can just negate this. Turn off the subdivision for now. Control 0. There you go. So you can see the drawn lines. And it's the same here. You just assign the same color to some of the already present faces that are in here. And then, okay, let's see. Control 0. Assign some glitters. Random cells and image size 3. And pose size is 5. I can control the size by increasing the subdivision or managing the or modifying the margins. We'll see. There we go. The good thing about this is that this is geometry and this is not shader. You can just go in and erase the faces that you don't want. So for example, this one right here. And there you go. And if you need to delete the rest of the faces that is not visible, select the visible lights and then Control I to um, invert and then XF to delete the rest of the faces. Actually, okay. And this is it really. All you need to do is go in and model some of the. Oops, this one. You can still delete this and models and go in and add some manually detailed. Go in and add some um, details or manually model details on the mesh. Or you can go in and use something like this. If you don't want to touch the topology anymore, you can go in and do something like floater inner to basically give you these wires that will look like panel cuts when you render them in cycles or in Eve. It can also work in Eve. So you can see that they look like panel cuts. You can increase the thickness and the depth. You can play around with the seed value and all the rest of the parameters until you get the one that's until you get the pattern that you like. So I'm sorry for my English if it breaks up once in a while. This is I don't use it in where I am from, and I only use it in my mind. So yeah, it can break after a while of using it. It kind of breaks up. So there you go. Just to add some more details before you bake it. You can just delete the things that we don't need. There you go. Let's make the colors actually. This is the intensity. Let's make it darker. There you go. And shinier. There you go. And let's oops. Let's make the white actually darker. There we go. Alright. We have our suit. This part needs work, but all in all, it looks great. Let's play around with the lighting. Kind of reminds me of the new game that's coming out June. Right. Yeah, so I'm gonna leave it here and just follow the workflow that I've shown you, and we will get the same result, of course, if you use the same topology. So just go to make human and create this bust. This resolution is like the standard resolution when you export the model. So this is a male model and young, it's a young Caucasian, something like that. But the texture I used was for an old guy. That's why we have the wrinkles. Okay, yeah. So that is it for this video. I hope you learned something new watching this. And if you have any questions, just the comment section or the links in the description. Subscribe, comment, like, and share. Thank you for watching and have a nice day.